Ambassador Nolan, came the stern voice of General Nathan Noah, slicing through the heavy silence. They're ready to speak. Nolan drew a measured breath, turning slowly toward Noah. The general was a seasoned leader, known as much for his tactical brilliance as for his restraint under pressure. Yet Nolan could see the hard edge in Noah's expression, an intensity that betrayed humanity's collective dread. With a subtle nod, Nolan steadied himself, stepping toward the central console. "Open the channel," Nolan instructed, his voice smooth, authoritative. A shimmering field flickered to life, illuminating the dimly lit room with a cold, sapphire glow. A holographic figure emerged, imposing, armored, and inhumanly tall. High Lord Gorax, Supreme Commander of the Galactic Empire, stood before them, projected across millions of kilometers as effortlessly as one might cross a room. Alexander Nolan. The alien lord greeted in a resonant tone that echoed through the chamber like distant thunder. His voice carried an aura of arrogance, perfectly matching his visage, angular, ruthless, and chillingly confident. "You are wise to respond swiftly." "Swiftly," Nolan echoed with deliberate calm, stepping forward to confront the hologram. "Your fleet has appeared uninvited, without provocation, orbiting our homeworld. It seems you mistake swift reaction for compliance." A faint, derisive smile curled Gorax's thin lips, his dark eyes narrowing. "Your species has always been difficult," he replied dismissively, as though speaking to an unruly child. "But the patience of the Empire has limits. We demand your unconditional surrender." Noah stiffened visibly, fingers tightening into fists at his sides, his jaw clenched. But he said nothing, recognizing this as a diplomat's battlefield, words as deadly as weapons. "Surrender." Nolan echoed again, his voice growing firmer. "Tell me, High Lord, what crime has humanity committed against your empire that demands submission?" Gorax tilted his head, visibly amused. "Crime? You mistake our purpose, Ambassador. Your existence is offense enough. A species as primitive and rebellious as yours threatens the natural order we have established. Submission is mercy. Resistance means annihilation." A suffocating silence followed, as though even the firefly held its breath. The tension was palpable. Nolan felt the weight of billions of human lives upon him, knowing every word he spoke carried consequence. Yet beneath fear and anger, he felt something deeper stir, a determination, fierce and unyielding. "Your empire has subjugated thousands of worlds," Nolan replied steadily, stepping closer, meeting the towering alien's holographic gaze without flinching. "Your rule is built on oppression, your power on fear. You mistake humanity if you think we bow easily to tyrants." Gorax's demeanor shifted subtly, his previous amusement replaced by an icy glare. "Many have spoken bravely, Ambassador," he said softly, a threat lingering in his tone. "They screamed just as bravely in their final moments. Is this your choice?" Nolan paused deliberately, letting the silence amplify his next words. "If you wanted obedience, you've chosen the wrong world. Then you have sealed humanity's fate," Gorax stated coldly, the faintest edge of disappointment creeping into his voice. "Prepare yourselves." The hologram vanished abruptly, plunging the chamber back into shadow. Noah released a breath he'd unknowingly held, stepping closer to Nolan, his voice grave. "You realize what this means?" "It means war," Nolan confirmed quietly, his eyes fixed upon the empty space where Gorax had stood. "We've been preparing for this day. Perhaps we always knew it would come." Noah nodded grimly. "I'll mobilize the fleet. But Ambassador, our odds are slim," Nolan interjected, cutting off what neither wished to hear aloud. "Slim odds are what humanity excels at. We've always survived because we refuse to surrender. Inform Commander Grant. Prepare Firefly for immediate action." Noah saluted crisply and exited swiftly, leaving Nolan alone in the shadowed chamber. Now out of sight, he allowed a brief tremor to ripple through him, adrenaline bleeding into resolve. War was inevitable, but survival was possible, and victory would depend on leadership. Humanity needed unity, not despair. Composing himself once more, Nolan turned and headed toward the bridge. Commander Lucius Grant met him at the Firefly's command deck, his gaze alert and focused, the calm assurance of his presence anchoring Nolan. Grant was younger, intense yet disciplined, respected deeply by the crew. Nolan trusted him implicitly. "Orders, Ambassador?" Grant asked sharply, standing beside the central command console, screens flickering with data streaming from dozens of orbital sensors. "Battle stations," Nolan replied without hesitation. "The Empire has issued their threat. It's time we delivered our answer." Grant nodded immediately, signaling the crew into motion. Lights dimmed to red, alarms gently pulsing as the Firefly shifted smoothly into combat readiness. The deck thrummed with quiet energy, the crew professional, driven by purpose, yet anxious about the imminent violence. Through the viewport, dozens of sleek Earth defense ships maneuvered into strategic formations, each captain aware of their potential sacrifice. "Ambassador," Grant said quietly, stepping closer, voice lowered to avoid crew attention. "Realistically, do we stand any chance?" Nolan met his gaze steadily. "If we surrender, humanity will never rise again. This battle decides whether we survive on our feet or perish on our knees. We stand as long as we fight." Grant absorbed the conviction in Nolan's voice, visibly strengthened. "Then let them come. They'll learn humanity does not yield easily." The crew worked swiftly, and soon sensors blinked red warnings. Imperial forces were positioning themselves, dreadnoughts arrayed to unleash devastation. The moment of truth was at hand, every breath measured, every heartbeat thunderous. Suddenly, the tactical officer called out sharply, "Multiple incoming signals, Ambassador. Imperial assault craft launching from their flagship. Shields." Grant barked immediately. The Firefly surged with defensive power, screens flaring to life around the ship, protective energy shimmering brilliantly. "All stations prepare for combat." Grant continued, voice firm yet controlled. "Weapons charged, hold fire until my mark." Nolan stepped forward, shoulders squared, watching the sleek enemy fighters advance like predators circling prey. Yet fear was distant now, replaced entirely by determination. Each breath strengthened his resolve, every heartbeat affirming the necessity of resistance. He knew humanity was outmatched technologically, but technology alone had never determined humanity's destiny. Courage, determination, defiance, these would guide them. The Imperial ships closed swiftly, weapons humming ominously. Seconds stretched painfully as Nolan felt the universe itself pause, anticipating the inevitable collision of forces. "Commander," Nolan finally spoke, voice steel calm, determined, echoing with humanity's defiance. "When they open fire, you have full authority to defend our home. No retreat." Grant's voice rang clearly across the bridge, bold and unwavering. "Understood, Ambassador. Humanity does not retreat." In that fragile instant before battle erupted, Nolan stared defiantly into the void, envisioning Gorax's face, that cruel confidence replaced now by surprise, perhaps even fear. Humanity's spirit was something the Empire could neither comprehend nor conquer. They had challenged a species born from struggle, hardened by adversity, defined by defiance. A burst of energy lit the darkness as Imperial weaponry flared toward the human fleet. Nolan raised his chin proudly, uttering humanity's quiet vow amid the cacophony. "We do not surrender. Let them know we choose war." The Firefly roared forward, shields blazing, humanity's defiant answer echoing across the stars. Commander Lucius Grant paced the bridge with controlled urgency, orchestrating his crew with precise commands. His youthful face hardened by the gravity of responsibility. Each passing moment deepened the lines of resolve etched around his eyes, highlighting the weight he carried. Grant had always been confident, assured by extensive military training, but nothing fully prepared him for the sheer scale of this war. Starboard shields holding at 60%, called Lieutenant Adam Shaw, voice taut yet steady. Enemy fighters regrouping for another pass. "Rotate to defensive stance Delta," Grant ordered swiftly, his eyes never leaving the tactical displays. "Coordinate fire patterns with Earth's defense grid. Let's give them something unexpected." Nolan observed quietly, respecting Grant's tactical acumen. He recognized Grant's ability to adapt and admired his instinctive calm under pressure. The young commander's strength was subtle yet profound, exactly what humanity required. Suddenly, the Firefly shuddered violently as a concentrated volley of Imperial weaponry impacted against its energy shields. The deck vibrated ominously beneath Nolan's feet, reinforcing the brutal reality of their desperate struggle. Status: Grant demanded sharply. Minor hull damage reported. Shields at 45%, stabilizing. Lieutenant Shaw responded instantly, voice crackling with adrenaline. Outside, amidst the chaotic dance of battle, the massive Imperial dreadnought loomed ominously, its silhouette dwarfing even the largest human battleships. Nolan eyed it bitterly, recognizing it as High Lord Gorax's flagship, Eternal Dominion. Its sheer presence was a message of dominance, but also arrogance, something Nolan intended to exploit. Commander, Nolan spoke decisively, voice measured yet resonant. The Empire believes humanity predictable, defensive, fearful, easily cornered. Grant turned, sharply attentive. You propose aggression? Nolan nodded slowly, eyes blazing with determined intensity. We need to demonstrate we're anything but predictable. Prepare Project Nemesis. Grant hesitated only briefly, sensing the profound shift in strategy, understanding clearly the ambassador's implication. Are we certain it's ready? Thanatos' systems have never faced real combat. Nolan's expression hardened, revealing a glimpse of the hidden depths within. Thanatos was built for precisely this moment. Trust humanity's ingenuity, Lucius. Grant held Nolan's gaze, understanding that caution was no longer sufficient. Humanity needed audacity. With a firm nod, he activated the Firefly's comms. General Noah, initiate Project Nemesis. Authorization, Grant Nolan Omega Zero. A terse acknowledgement crackled back from the command center on Terra Prime. Authorization received. Nemesis launching in 60 seconds. Standby. The Imperial forces continued their relentless assault, confident in their superiority. Yet Nolan and Grant stood patiently, trusting the quiet brilliance of their engineers, the hidden weapon forged secretly beneath humanity's skies. Seconds stretched unbearably, tension thickening like fog. And then, abruptly, sensors surged with new activity. Signature detected from Earth orbit. Lieutenant Shaw announced, a mix of awe and apprehension coloring his tone. Project Nemesis is active. Emerging from Terra Prime's shadow appeared a vessel unlike anything humanity had previously deployed. Sleek, dark, radiating menace, the ship carried no visible insignia, no markings, only power. Project Nemesis, humanity's most advanced warship, powered by the ruthless artificial intelligence Thanatos, had arrived. Nolan's pulse quickened, pride mixing with trepidation as he watched the AI vessel maneuver effortlessly toward the Empire's approaching squadrons. Its movements were precise, fluid, almost predatory, calculations far exceeding human capability guiding its path. Thanatos, begin Strike Protocol Alpha, Grant commanded. Instantly, Nemesis responded. The ship darted forward, launching precision strikes that vaporized entire Imperial fighter formations, moving so swiftly enemy sensors struggled to track it. The Imperial fleet hesitated momentarily, stunned by humanity's unexpected power. Yet the enemy recovered quickly, swarming Nemesis with renewed determination, overwhelming the AI-controlled ship through sheer numbers. Nemesis, however, remained unyielding, coldly efficient, systematically annihilating enemy vessels, adapting rapidly to their tactics. Project Nemesis's system stable, Shaw reported excitedly. Imperial losses mounting. Enemy fleet pulling back. But Nolan knew this respite was temporary. High Lord Gorax will respond fiercely, he warned quietly. We must maintain pressure. As if summoned by his words, sensors blared again. Shaw's voice faltered briefly, dread seeping through professional calmness. Imperial flagship advancing aggressively. Eternal Dominion is targeting Project Nemesis. The massive dreadnought moved forward, unleashing devastating volleys directly toward Nemesis. Despite Thanatos' tactical genius, the overwhelming force of Imperial firepower began wearing down Nemesis's formidable defenses. The AI-driven ship, though powerful, was still limited against overwhelming brutality. Nemesis shields critical. Shaw's voice tightened, betraying genuine fear. Hull breaches reported. Ambassador, Commander, we're losing her. Grant's jaw tightened, recognizing their brief advantage evaporating rapidly. Ambassador, withdraw Nemesis before we lose everything. Nolan hesitated momentarily, weighing desperate hope against tactical realism. Thanatos, he finally commanded reluctantly. Engage retreat protocols. Preserve core systems. As Nemesis initiated withdrawal, Eternal Dominion continued its relentless pursuit, delivering another punishing strike. Nemesis lurched violently, damaged but alive, disappearing toward Earth's dark side. Nolan exhaled slowly, feeling the painful sting of temporary defeat. Across the comm channel, a sinister voice resonated coldly, interrupting their silence. High Lord Gorax spoke calmly yet mockingly, broadcasting openly to demoralize humanity. Did you truly believe your toys could defeat the Empire, Ambassador Nolan? Humanity's resilience is admirable yet futile. Surrender now, and some may yet survive. Nolan stepped forward immediately, voice measured but edged with unmistakable defiance. Resilience is precisely why you fear humanity, Gorax. You fight to maintain your empire through force. We fight because survival demands it. This war is far from finished. Gorax's response was chillingly dismissive. Your stubborn pride will be your extinction. The channel snapped closed, plunging the bridge into strained silence. Commander Grant exhaled deeply, a slight tremble betraying his emotional strain. Yet determination remained clearly etched in his face. Ambassador, they underestimate us. Precisely, Nolan confirmed, voice calm, eyes gleaming with conviction. We showed weakness intentionally today. The Empire believes we've exhausted our capabilities. That miscalculation is our advantage. Grant's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. A feint. A test, Nolan clarified. We needed to know if Thanatos could truly hurt them. Today proved Nemesis's potential. The Empire's response revealed their vulnerability. A cautious hope flickered in Grant's expression. Then humanity still has a fighting chance. Nolan nodded solemnly. But our next move must strike deeply. High Lord Gorax believes we're cornered prey. Now is when we become predators. Grant visibly straightened, revitalized by purpose, reflecting Nolan's own resolve. Then we'll show them just how dangerous humanity can truly be. As crew members refocused, recalibrating damage systems and rallying morale, Nolan allowed himself a brief glance toward Terra Prime, the radiant planet still defiant amidst fiery chaos. Humanity's homeworld stood battered yet unbeaten, a symbol of their resilience. Within that resilience lay their ultimate strength. Yet beneath his hardened exterior, Nolan quietly acknowledged the bitter reality of the coming days. Millions had already suffered. Countless more would perish. Each decision he made was costly, measured in human lives. But surrender would mean extinction, a price humanity refused to pay. Thus, they had no choice but to fight fiercely and intelligently, until victory or oblivion arrived. Taking a quiet breath, Ambassador Alexander Nolan steeled himself, recommitting to the path forward. Humanity had drawn blood today, proven itself capable of defiance. Now, they must prove capable of victory. The Empire had expected surrender. What they'd receive instead was war unleashed, relentless and driven by an indomitable human spirit. Nolan's voice filled the silent bridge with renewed vigor. Commander Grant, inform General Noah we move to the next phase immediately. High Lord Gorax believes us broken. Let him hold that belief, right up until we burn his empire from beneath him. Grant responded instantly, the spark of unyielding humanity bright in his eyes. Understood, Ambassador. We'll remind them humanity isn't easily broken. The Firefly surged forward defiantly, battered yet unbowed, toward a war they intended not merely to survive, but to win. General Nathan Noah stood opposite Nolan, eyes scanning the map with strategic precision. His usually stoic face had grown sharper in the weeks since the Empire's initial assault, his gaze hardened by loss yet tempered with steely resolve. The general's reputation as a master tactician had only deepened under pressure, his quiet authority inspiring loyalty across the battered remnants of humanity's fleet. Arcturus Station, Noah finally spoke, indicating a heavily fortified Imperial outpost deep in occupied space. Taking it would disrupt their supply chain across 5 major systems. We cripple it. We expose vulnerabilities in the Empire's armor. Nolan studied the outpost carefully, visualizing the broader implications. But it's heavily defended. A frontal assault would cost thousands of lives we can scarcely afford. Noah nodded grimly. That's why we strike differently. Quietly, swiftly. A precision strike behind enemy lines. Nolan turned thoughtfully, his calculating eyes meeting those of Commander Lucius Grant, who stood silently beside him, clearly anticipating orders. Grant had matured rapidly since the first battle, the raw confidence of youth evolving into tempered courage. Nolan saw clearly that Grant now carried himself not merely as a commander, but as a true leader, respected and trusted by every soldier under his command. "You're suggesting infiltration," Grant said thoughtfully, his voice measured yet eager. "A small strike team to disable the station's defenses from within." "Precisely," Noah confirmed. "A frontal battle distracts them, while the infiltration team disables their shields and weapons. Chaos will follow. We use that confusion to strike hard, fast, and decisively." Grant exchanged a firefly glance with Nolan, silent understanding passing between diplomat and commander. The plan was risky, bordering on reckless, but precisely the kind of daring humanity required to shift the balance of war. "Commander Grant," Nolan said quietly, "assemble your team. Lead them personally. We cannot afford failure." Grant straightened sharply, saluting. "Understood, Ambassador." Hours later, the small stealth frigate Shadowfall sliced silently through the void, approaching Arcturus Station, cloaked in darkness. Grant stood motionless at the helm, anxiety tempered by unshakable resolve. His hand-selected team moved quietly behind him, each soldier disciplined, aware that humanity's future rested squarely upon their shoulders. Among them stood Captain Marcus Hale, a seasoned veteran whose loyalty and steadiness were legendary, and Specialist Ren Tanaka, a quiet operative whose calm confidence under pressure had saved countless lives before. Each man knew this mission's stakes intimately, prepared to pay the ultimate price without hesitation. Shadowfall approached undetected, guided expertly by Tanaka's deft hands, breaching Imperial sensor arrays effortlessly, a ghost in the void. Within minutes, they docked stealthily at the underbelly of Arcturus Station, slipping silently aboard the colossal facility. The corridor they entered was dimly lit, shadows cloaking them protectively as they moved swiftly forward. Every step was precise, coordinated by Grant's quiet gestures. As they penetrated deeper into the station, tension thickened, their breathing quieted by discipline. At last, they reached the central command hub. Inside, Imperial officers and technicians monitored systems obliviously, confident behind their fortress walls. Grant silently signaled Hale and Tanaka forward, each moving swiftly into position. The attack began with seamless precision, enemy guards neutralized swiftly, quietly. Soon, Grant stood before the primary control console, quickly disabling Imperial shields and weaponry. "General Noah," Grant transmitted quietly, satisfaction evident beneath controlled urgency. "The station's defenses are down. Begin your assault." Immediately, alarms screamed across the facility, chaos erupting throughout the Empire's ranks. Imperial ships scrambled desperately, vulnerable as Noah's fleet appeared, weapons blazing fiercely, overwhelming the stunned defenders. However, as Grant and his team began their withdrawal, the enemy responded swiftly. Reinforcements flooded the corridors, blocking escape routes, forcing Grant's small team into a desperate retreat. "Commander," Tanaka shouted urgently, weapon flashing as enemy fire intensified around them. "We're trapped. Corridor Alpha sealed." Alternate routes compromised. Grant hesitated briefly, calculating desperately. Options vanishing rapidly. Will break through cargo bay Theta. Move quickly. Under heavy fire, they raced toward the alternate exit. But as they neared escape, disaster struck. Hale was suddenly struck by enemy fire, collapsing with a gasp. Grant immediately halted, heart seizing painfully. He moved quickly, dragging Hale behind cover, shielding him as fire intensified. "Leave me," Hale gasped weakly, wounded but conscious. "Commander, humanity needs you alive." Grant's expression hardened with fierce determination. "Humanity isn't leaving you behind, Marcus. Hold on." With grim determination, Tanaka covered their escape, providing suppressive fire as Grant carried Hale, finally reaching Shadowfall amidst furious enemy fire. They escaped barely alive, racing from an exploding chaos of Arcturus Station as Noah's fleet tore through Imperial forces mercilessly, dealing a devastating blow to their adversary. Yet even as victory buoyed humanity's spirit, darkness lurked on the horizon. High Lord Gorax's brutal retaliation was swift, furious, and ruthless. Imperial forces, enraged by the humiliation at Arcturus, unleashed punishing reprisals on vulnerable human colonies, burning entire worlds without mercy. Back on Terra Prime, Nolan watched in grim horror as news flooded in. His heart ached bitterly, knowing each loss weighed on his decisions. Yet surrender remained impossible, unthinkable. He swallowed pain with grim determination, each tragedy fueling his resolve, galvanizing humanity's collective rage. Days later, amidst uncertainty and grief, Nolan received an unexpected communication, coded, encrypted, originating deep within Imperial ranks. Curious, he opened the transmission, discovering an astonishing message from Imperial Admiral Varian Rax, a powerful commander respected widely within the Empire's fleet. The message was clear, daringly explicit. "Ambassador Nolan, humanity's courage has inspired rebellion. Join me. Together we will shatter the Emperor's tyranny." Nolan absorbed this astonishing offer carefully, recognizing immediately its potential and danger. Admiral Rax's rebellion was a chance humanity could not afford to dismiss lightly, yet trust remained fragile. Was this another Imperial deception, or genuine fracture within Gorax's oppressive regime? "General Noah," Nolan finally spoke, carefully controlling emotion, "prepare the fleet. We must meet Admiral Rax face to face." Noah regarded Nolan sharply, instantly grasping the significance. A risky gamble, yet perhaps our only path toward genuine victory. "Precisely," Nolan acknowledged quietly. "Our strength alone may never suffice, but the Empire's internal divisions could become humanity's greatest weapon." Days later, aboard Firefly, Nolan stood rigidly, confronting Admiral Rax aboard the rebel leader's immense flagship, Leviathan. Rax appeared imposing yet measured, studying Nolan calmly, respect evident in his cold, measured gaze. "Humanity's resilience has destabilized the Empire," Rax admitted bluntly, "but alone you cannot destroy Gorax's tyranny." Nolan replied firmly, controlled yet passionate. "Perhaps not alone, but humanity has proven itself a catalyst. If your rebellion is genuine, Admiral, unite your strength with ours. Together we'll dismantle the Empire piece by piece." Rax considered carefully, finally nodding with quiet determination. "Then we stand together, Ambassador. The galaxy will witness tyranny crumble." Yet before celebration could ignite hope, urgent alarms echoed fiercely. Imperial dreadnoughts abruptly appeared, eternal dominion leading them with ruthless purpose. Nolan understood immediately. High Lord Gorax intended total annihilation, crushing rebellion before it fully ignited. "Prepare for battle." Nolan commanded fiercely, fire igniting within him. Humanity will strike fear directly into Gorax's heart. As humanity and rebel fleets maneuvered desperately against overwhelming odds, Nolan stared fiercely at the looming dreadnought, aware clearly that their next battle determined humanity's survival or extinction. Painful memories filled his mind of fallen colonies, Marcus Hale wounded, and humanity's relentless sacrifice. Yet beneath grief burned fiery defiance. Turning sharply, he faced Noah, Grant, and the waiting crew, voice ringing boldly with humanity's indomitable resolve. Today, humanity shows the empire we don't merely survive, we strike back relentlessly, until tyranny itself shatters. For humanity. For humanity, echoed thunderously across the Firefly, voices united, defiant, unyielding. The battle erupted violently around them, humanity's fleet surging forward bravely, determined to seize their destiny. Ambassador Alexander Nolan stood proudly amid chaos. Fireflyly understanding this decisive moment defined humanity's place among the stars. His voice whispered softly, fiercely determined, daring fate itself. Now, let the Empire know humanity's true strength. Battle-weary yet defiant, General Nathan Noah coordinated the broader fleet from his command cruiser, Vigilant, his voice unyielding as he guided humanity's desperate resistance. Near him, Admiral Varianrax's rebel fleet fought alongside humans, their joint forces challenging High Lord Gorax's dominance, determined to break the Empire's crushing grip forever. Yet above them all loomed Gorax's monstrous dreadnought, Eternal Dominion, relentlessly destroying ships with devastating precision. High Lord Gorax observed the battlefield coldly, determined to extinguish humanity's flame, reinforcing the Empire's supremacy once and for all. Commander Grant, Nolan spoke firmly, calm amidst chaos, we must reach Gorax. Until he falls, this battle remains unwinnable. Grant's eyes hardened decisively, accepting the heavy burden. Understood, Ambassador. Firefly, set course directly toward Eternal Dominion. Prepare for assault maneuvers. Lieutenant Adam Shaw responded instantly, tension evident in every movement. Shields reinforced, weapons fully charged. Commander, Ambassador, this is a one-way trip if we fail. We won't fail, Nolan declared fiercely, rallying every crew member aboard. Today, humanity's future hinges upon our courage. The Firefly surged forward, gracefully weaving through blinding exchanges of fire, dancing perilously close to annihilation. Enemy blasts shook the ship, yet Grant maintained an iron grip on their path, steadying nerves frayed from months of brutal warfare. Suddenly, a devastating barrage erupted toward them from Eternal Dominion, piercing Firefly's shields, tearing violently into her hull. Alarms wailed painfully, the ship listing sharply as fires erupted on board. Shaw stumbled back, wounded by shrapnel yet fighting to remain upright. Commander, Shaw gasped painfully, bloodied yet defiant. Systems critical. Engines failing. We won't make it unless. Grant's jaw tightened painfully, eyes flickering briefly with grief before hardening with resolve. Abandon Firefly. All crew, evacuate immediately. No, Nolan interjected fiercely, meeting Grant's startled gaze. Commander, you and the crew evacuate. I'll take Firefly personally into Gorax's ship. Grant's eyes widened in protest, understanding immediately the sacrifice implied. Ambassador. Humanity needs its leaders alive to rebuild. Nolan spoke firmly yet gently, his resolve absolute. Grant, you've proven yourself humanity's strength. Protect our future. I'll face Gorax. Grant struggled momentarily, emotions raw, before saluting sharply, deep respect evident. It's been an honor, Ambassador. Honor humanity by winning, Nolan replied solemnly, taking Firefly's controls, eyes fixed on the looming dreadnought. Firefly's evacuation pods launched swiftly, Grant guiding his crew safely away. Alone on the dying bridge, Alexander Nolan steeled himself, feeling no fear, only fierce, unyielding determination. Humanity's survival depended on this moment. He accelerated Fireflyly toward Eternal Dominion, the flagship's colossal hull filling his view. With a final breath, Nolan transmitted openly, knowing Gorax heard him clearly. You called humanity weak, Gorax, but courage defines our species. Today, I'll personally remind you why humanity will never bow. Firefly collided violently with Eternal Dominion's hull, breaching it dramatically. Explosions erupted throughout the dreadnought, fire spreading rapidly. Amidst smoke and chaos, Nolan stumbled from the shattered bridge, swiftly navigating burning corridors toward Gorax's command chamber. As the dreadnought shuddered violently beneath Nolan's feet, Eternal Dominion's crew fled in panic. Yet Nolan pressed forward relentlessly, confronting High Lord Gorax at last. The alien commander stood tall, unflinching despite the chaos, dark eyes glinting coldly. "You believe your sacrifice meaningful?" Gorax spoke disdainfully. "Humanity's defiance means nothing. Your species will vanish like dust." "Defiance is our legacy," Nolan countered boldly, standing firm, voice resonant with conviction. "You rule through fear, Gorax, but humanity fights for freedom. Your empire falls here." Enraged, Gorax lunged swiftly, striking brutally. Nolan dodged barely, responding instinctively, struggling fiercely against the powerful enemy leader. Their desperate battle mirrored the larger war, courage against arrogance, hope battling tyranny. As they fought bitterly, explosions continued to tear Eternal Dominion apart, weakening Gorax's footing. Nolan seized an opportunity, delivering a decisive blow that brought Gorax to his knees, weakened yet unbroken. "You lose today, Ambassador," Gorax spat bitterly, voice trembling, defiance still smoldering. "Humanity's victory is temporary. The galaxy craves order, not chaos." Nolan stared fireflyly down, bloodied yet triumphant. "The galaxy will choose freedom. Humanity's courage has shattered your chains." Suddenly, Eternal Dominion shuddered violently again, its core failing, explosions signaling imminent destruction. Nolan, understanding clearly, moved quickly toward escape pods, leaving Gorax behind, defeated but alive. Outside, humanity's battered fleet observed Eternal Dominion collapsing dramatically, sparking hope across weary crews. Commander Grant watched solemnly from his rescue vessel, grief mixing painfully with admiration for Nolan's sacrifice. But aboard Eternal Dominion, Nolan faced bitter reality. Escape pods were damaged, blocked, death imminent. Yet he accepted this quietly, satisfied humanity's victory secured freedom's future. His communicator suddenly crackled sharply, startling him. "Ambassador," came Grant's fierce voice urgently. "Thanatos has recovered Nemesis. Humanity hasn't abandoned you. Stand by for immediate extraction." A sleek black ship appeared swiftly, Nemesis, humanity's AI weapon reborn, piercing effortlessly through chaos, extracting Nolan moments before Eternal Dominion exploded spectacularly. Returned safely aboard Grant's vessel, Nolan faced humanity's surviving leaders solemnly, humbled yet firefly. "Victory is ours," General Noah spoke quietly, grief marking every face present. "But at a cost humanity will never forget." "Then let us rebuild wisely," Nolan replied determinedly. "Freedom comes at heavy price, paid bravely by those who stood defiant. Remember them always." In the battle's aftermath, humanity quickly asserted leadership within their newly forged alliance, former imperial worlds gladly joining the rebellion's remnants. Terra Prime, though scarred deeply, became a beacon symbolizing freedom's resilience against oppression. Yet Nolan understood clearly this fragile peace required vigilance. Humanity's victory merely a beginning, never an ending. He spent quiet days comforting survivors, honoring fallen heroes, guiding humanity's cautious steps toward reconciliation and unity. Weeks later, at a memorial ceremony beneath Terra Prime's clear skies, thousands gathered silently. Nolan stood alongside Grant, Noah, and even Admiral Rax, now allies united deeply by shared courage and sacrifice. Looking across tearful faces, Nolan spoke solemnly yet passionately, voice echoing humanity's collective heart. "We stand here today because courage triumphed over fear, defiance defeated oppression. Remember forever humanity's greatest strength, unity against darkness."